To move on, finally, apparently you used to be a cricketer. England, the ECB cancelled a 5-day tour of Pakistan against the advice of the British High Commissioner, apparently. What was your reaction, given that all that Pakistan had done for English cricket in the last 2 years of those 2 tours, they come to the rescue during COVID, and then the English Cricket Board just cancels with no real... what did you make of that? What message did that send?
Well, you know, I've seen the evolution of Pakistan-England cricket ties over the years and with the other countries. I think that there is this, still this feeling in England that they do a great favor to play for countries like Pakistan. One of the reasons is that obviously the money is a big player now for the players as well as for the cricket boards. Indian cricket board now is the richest cricket board in the world. The money lies in India. So India basically now controls world cricket. I mean, they do whatever they say go. No one would dare do that to India because they know that the sums involved, India can sort of produce much more money. So therefore, I felt that it was, I think England let itself down. I didn't criticize, I didn't say anything. But I think England let themselves down because I expected a bit more from England. I did not expect them, you know, just unilaterally without even consulting anyone. And of course, the biggest worry of protection of the foreign teams is for us. Imagine if something happens in Pakistan to a team, we are responsible. And we have one of the best intelligence agencies in the world. So I checked thoroughly. We had completely secured everything. I mean, even the New Zealanders, they got scared and they left. But, you know, in the end, I didn't really comment on it. I think the teams let themselves down. I think New Zealand let itself down by just from the stadium cancelling a tour on something which we know was a fake news which was initiated by some Indian through Singapore. We know that. And, you know, they got worried and they left. And then England, without even consulting anyone, they left. I think England let themselves down.
And let Pakistan down too, because it's very important, isn't it, that after the terrible events a decade ago with the Sri Lankan team, that you've had this long period of coming back to world cricket, and then suddenly at the very last minute for England to turn their back on you, it was a kick in the teeth, wasn't it?
It was disappointing, but I think England should analyze what they've done, the England team. They should ask themselves the question. What would they think if some country did that to them? That when they were finally, and they had gone to that country in difficult times when no other team would tour, and Pakistan went to England at that time when there were COVID restrictions. And then, you know, how would they have felt if it had happened to them?
Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
What was the blasphemy law? That if there are 3 different human communities living in a village, previously what would happen is that someone would insult a sacred entity of the other community, there would be a riot, people would be killed. So they then said, look, this is not allowed. So instead of there being a riot, they would go to the police saying that, look, he's insulted my, and accordingly they'd act. So it was a deterrent not to insult other people. There has to be some sort of an equilibrium in the French society. Otherwise, my worry is that the cycle will keep going on and on.
I know you've been very generous of our time. Can we ask 2 more questions? The first is climate change. We've got the big conference, I think it's next month in London. Will you be going? I'm
planning to go.
And what will be your message at this? I mean, many people say this is the last chance to save the world from some cataclysmic disaster. Do you agree with that?
Peter, some of us, you know, who've lived by nature, because I grew up, you know, really where I lived was like a village, you know, outdoors.
It's now almost central Lahore, isn't it?
It is now.
Zaman Park.
It is, you can't sit outside it. It's like on the edge of a motorway. And then all my hobbies were, you know, I would love trekking. Pakistan has the most beautiful trekking in the world. And then I loved this in the winter, I loved partridge shooting, which was a beautiful time here. And so my life was outdoor. And then cricket outdoors on, beautiful grounds. People like us saw this change coming. You could see gradually the temperature getting warmer. And people in the villages, people who live by nature, also sense this. Maybe 20 years ago, you saw this happening. But the world, I think, in the last 2 years, have suddenly discovered these strange weather patterns. And countries affected, like I'm in Germany, look at what happened in Germany and so on. So, and the fires that are in California, Siberia, in Mediterranean countries. So, people have begun to realize that we are really now, the human survival instinct has, I feel, kicked in. They are realizing that if we keep going at this rate, things are just going to keep getting worse. And therefore, the emergency. My only worry is that the countries that are responsible for these carbon emissions are the developed industrialized countries. They are the ones who are really responsible for the high percentage of emissions. But I feel that they are making the right noises, but they are not willing to take the hard decisions because it is going to be difficult. When you change to renewables, it's going to be difficult, a little painful. Already they are talking in Europe about the gas prices going up and so on. So I think that unless and until they walk the talk, what they are saying, they then do it. They put their money where their mouth is. It's not going to happen, because when you worry about your elections, you worry about unemployment. And with Donald Trump, he was quite forthright. He didn't even hide behind any euphemisms. For him, progress, growth rate, jobs were more important than climate. Now, unless climate becomes more important than this, I'm afraid we will have a lot of conferences, but for electoral purposes, people will make the right noises.
But what do you want COP26, I think it's COP26 to do?
Well, for a start, look, it has a financial cost. If you want to really make an impact, you have to spend money on that. So clearly, countries like us, we're punching above our weight. We're planting 10 billion trees in this country.
10 billion now.
10 billion. We started 1 billion. We achieved that. We planted 2.5 billion right now. We are on our way to 10 billion. And then we are cutting down, we had coal power plant in the schedule. We scrapped that. And there's one going, which if we get some funding, we're willing to change that to renewables. And then we're trying to preserve, we're making different ways of preserving, our water supplies and increasing our oxygen, cleaning our rivers. Whatever we do, unless the richer industrialist countries, unless they take steps, I'm afraid, our contribution to emissions are negligible, about less than 1%.